For today's Craft with 5 challenge, I'm breaking out some stencils, some inks, and powders for my layout. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. Today is the Craft with 5 collaboration. This is a collaboration I do with some friends here on YouTube. There will be a playlist linked in the description box below where you can go and check out everyone who's participating this month. And basically each month we have 5 crafty items, supplies, tools, embellishments type things that we have to use in our projects. And any project, any type of craft goes as long as you use all of those elements on the same project. So this month, the items we need to use were the shape of an oval, the color pink, a stencil, stickers, and powders or paste. So I have a scrapbook layout that I'm going to be doing. I have a stencil, some embossing powder, some stickers, and then I'll be pulling in some other items as well to create this page and hopefully fulfill all of the prompts for this month's collaboration. So let's get crafty. I'm using a pink, like a light pink 12 by 12 piece of cardstock from my stash for my base page, and then the 2 sheets of paper pattern paper that I'm using are for from the Bunnies and Blooms collection from Simple Stories. And I'm basically using 2 pieces. I have this egg pattern that I simply cut in half, so they're like 3 by 8 inch strips, and I'm just using my mat to line them up on opposite sides of my pattern paper. And then the next piece I just left whole at 6 by 8, and then it should fit right in between those 2 strips. And I'm going to kind of offset those. And then I have 2 vertical photos that I am going to add adhesive to and then put on that middle, or kind of line up together in the middle of the layout, kind of towards the bottom of my pattern paper. And then now that I have now that I know where everything is going to lay, I'm going to bring in, this is a stencil from Scrapping for Less, and it has like grass, different types of grass around the edges and then clouds on the inside. And then I'm using some Mowed Lawn Distress Oxide ink and a blending brush. And I'm just going to add a little patch of grass down here in the bottom right corner. I do have to add several layers just because it's going on pink cardstock, and I want to make sure that it is, nice and dark and noticeable and stands out on the pink. So I'm using the whole length of the stencil for the first round, and then I'm gonna use bits or like different sections from that stencil, the same grass pattern but different sections of it, and kind of layer them over what I'm doing now to create a little more full look. So I'm trying to figure out what section I want to put where. And then I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm not going as dark this time because I want you to be able to see the layer that I just did through the new layer. I want it to look, kind of layered, and that it's not all uniform grass. So you can see that helped fill in that section. I'm going to come over here to the corner and do a little bit more. And I'm just trying to get like varied heights with the grass and then different width of the blades. And then I'm going to do one more in the center. And then I will be done with the stencil. So something that really hung me up on my project was thinking that I needed to use the pastes or the powders with the stencil. I don't know why, but that's what I felt like I was supposed to do, and I couldn't figure out how I could make that work. Here I have a little Easter basket that I used a scrap of brown cardstock and a die from my stash, pieced it together, and then I used the Andy uppercase alphabet stamp set from Echo Park, and I just stamped an E with some embossing ink and then used that white embossing powder to create kind of like a personalized Easter basket for my daughter Ellie's layout. So once I got past, like once it finally dawned on me that I didn't have to use the stencil with the paste, it made this layout so much easier. So I'm doing some more embossing powder with my title. I used the alphabet stamp set again and stamped the hunt with my embossing ink, and then added it was a darker pink than I really wanted for the embossing, but it was the only pink I had. And I don't have any paste right now. I had some, I think last year I used a little bit, and then it was drying up. So powder is what I was limited to, which is why I was trying to figure out how to make it work with the stencil, and I just couldn't wrap my brain around it. So now that I have those two kind of key things done, I can start embellishing. I'm using a combination of some stickers and some die cuts from the embellishments that went with the pad. I had like several different types of embellishments that go with the Bunnies and Bloom collection. And so I'm just kind of mixing and matching here. I've got some of those puffy stickers, some die cuts, and then just some regular stickers as well. Trying to create a couple different of little groupings, clusters, if you will, on the layout. I want to do one kind of at the top right of the photo there, or the right hand photo, and then one at the bottom left of the photo on the left. So I decided to go with butterflies up on like the top right. And then for the bottom left, I'm using a combination of die cut bunny that I had in my stash from a scrap of kind of Easter patterned paper. So I'm going to use him with the little Easter basket puffy sticker. And I am adding wet glue to the back of my puffy stickers because they didn't feel super sticky. And I wanted to make sure they would, last the test of time. And then the butterflies, again, are a mix of die cuts and puffy stickers and regular stickers that came with the various collection parts that I have. So I'm going to kind of scatter 3 of the butterflies up there in the top right, and then I have some tiny hearts that I'm going to add to that cluster as well. And then my layout is complete. So I do have 2 of these layouts. One did one for each daughter, and they are basically the same, just some of the embellishments are a little bit different based on what I had. But going through the list, ovals, I have eggs of different kinds. I'm counting that as an oval. Pink, obviously. Stencil was my grass down here in the corner. Stickers, I have puffy stickers and a few regular stickers. And then the powder paste was my embossing powder. And they're not overly detailed layouts, but there was some time spent on, creating my little basket here and the title and the stencil. So I'm going to go ahead and call those good. Definitely got me out of my comfort zone a little bit, which is what this challenge is all about. And it makes me remember, or makes me think to use things for this challenge that I would normally never remember to pull out of my stash. So that is one reason why I love this challenge. Again, if you would like to play along, I have the blog post linked in the description box below where you can click on and see the prompts for the rest of the year. Also in that description box is that playlist for the rest of the participants. Thank you guys so very much for your time, and hope you all have a very crafty day.